Hello everyone, I'm Bryan Kluger and I'm with High Def Digest. And I'm talking to everyone today about the Criterion Collection.
We can't stop here. This is bad country.
It's like the Neiman Marcus of home video. Criterion's disc production and releases are always top-notch with the best video, audio, and the most amazing bonus features. The Criterion Collection handpicks movies every month that are culturally significant and important, even horror films.
The Blob.
Or the random Michael Bay movie that might go home with the prom queen.
How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
The horror genre is one of the biggest money makers in cinema, and the Criterion Collection has chosen some of the best horror films to release on their spectacular collection. So without further ado, here are the 10 best horror films in the Criterion Collection.
A 10! A 10!
Number 10.
Ich fühle mich stark. Meine Seele ist frei.
Vampyr with a Y. Why? Because I asked you. This German, almost silent film is very atmospheric horror. It is directed by a Danish filmmaker named Carl Theodor Dreyer, and it deals with vampire mythology.
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last week. I'm Edward Cullen.
No, not that one. This is very moody and extremely haunting, and it has almost zero dialogue. The story follows a strange drifter that arrives in an eerie town that is under the rule of a vampire, where one particular young lady is turning into one of those bloodsuckers. This classic 1932 film was way ahead of its time and still manages to conjure up great scares. And I imagine What We Do in the Shadows took some inspiration from this movie. And now it's time for 9-9 Bust a Rhyme. This faux documentary from 1922 is a silent film, and it's called Häxan, and it's a true wonder of art. This little fictional documentary follows the origins of witchcraft from its pagan ancestry to its impact on modern society. There's blood sacrifices, witches, spells, and Satan himself.
The Satan! Ah, Dr. Satan!
All of this is brought to the spotlight in this fantastic piece of filmmaking that has become a milestone in the film industry. This film has inspired some of the best in the horror genre, like The Witch and Suspiria. This is as important as it is scary. Coming in with the crazy eights. France scared the world in 1960 with Eyes Without a Face. It brought on a new wave of horror for fans. This stylized film centers on a plastic surgeon whose daughter was horrifically disfigured in an unfortunate accident. In order to make her feel better, and perhaps for his own sadistic reasons, the twisted doctor looks for someone to seduce in order to take their pretty face off.
Let's just kill each other.
And place it on his daughter's head. Leatherface would be proud. Lucky number 7 time. Oh my gourd. Japan's 1977 horror film called House, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi, is something special because there isn't anything like it, still to this day. The film focuses on a group of young schoolgirls who travel to one of the students' aunt's houses that is extremely haunted. Severed heads and fruit, deadly house cats, and a piano that causes havoc are all but a few of the elements that occur in this insane, unexplainable horror movie. And much like Tiger King, the antics and storyline only get more intense. Here comes the Desolate One 6. Before Guillermo del Toro was a household name with movies like Hellboy and The Shape of Water, he made a small horror flick called The Devil's Backbone back in 2001 that is consistent with some of the ghastly themes that he uses in all of his films. With this movie, a young 10-year-old boy arrives at an orphanage during the Spanish Civil War, where political tensions are at an all-time high. The boy crosses paths with a sinister caretaker and a ghost child as he uncovers the sadistic secrets lying under the school grounds. It's a wonderful yet very tragic look at youth during wartime. Woo! 5 golden horror movies.
The Mind Force. Scanners. Their thoughts can kill.
Before Eastern Promises and The Fly, David Cronenberg blew everyone's mind with his horror science fiction yarn, Scanners, starring a young Michael Ironside. In incorporating the original music from Howard Shore, this scary tale takes place in a universe where a big group of people are actually things called scanners, meaning they have strong telepathic and telekinetic powers. There is a war between the underground movement and the corporation that literally causes heads to explode. It's a wonderful and brutal story that has inspired a ton of horror flicks. Moving on to number 4. This one still manages to provide some very haunting scares. And the film is called Onibaba. Say it with me, Onibaba. From director Kaneto Shindo. The film plays out like a historical drama with heavy erotic horror elements throughout, as 2 women have taken up the profession of killing samurai soldiers and stealing their weapons, rations, and clothing. One day, though, a peculiar samurai shows up with a mask that puts a wrench into these ladies' plans. The stylized color of the film, along with its terrifying percussion jazz score, still continues to haunt to this day. Coming in at number 3.
I'll kill them before I let them touch you.
Somebody help me! What have you done to him, you maniac?
Roman Polanski struck horror gold with his adaptation of Rosemary's Baby. Nothing had come out like it before, which still manages to terrify audiences young and old, especially pregnant women. The film follows a very submissive wife who lives with her successful husband in an upscale high-rise where she mysteriously becomes pregnant. Turns out that her baby and her new neighbors are not who they seemed. Yes, they have a penchant for the desolate one.
The Satan! Ah, Dr. Satan!
There is no romantic 9 months here, but a chaotic downward spiral into madness and evil.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
Coming in at number 2. One man single-handedly created an entire horror movie genre. That man is George Romero. George Romero brought zombies, the undead, into the mainstream with Night of the Living Dead in 1968, and it has inspired many filmmakers since then. Night of the Living Dead started it all with a very small outbreak of the dead coming back to life, where a small group of people take shelter in a countryside house in order to stay alive. Panic, trust, and racism are all the themes in this socially charged film, where almost all hope for humanity is killed. Finally, coming in at number 1.
You call this easy, sir?
Lester's missing hand arm.
Man's a raving maniac. Who knows what he'll do?
Thank you, Clary. Thank you.
Jonathan Demme took the cinematic world by storm with The Silence of the Lambs.
Hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again.
A film that won all the major Oscars and is still one of the scariest horror films ever made, along with being one of the most captivating and horrifying movie characters with Hannibal Lecter. The film follows a young FBI cadet who is assisting in the serial killer investigation of Buffalo Bill. This FBI cadet enlists the help of an imprisoned serial killer, also cannibal, to bring Buffalo Bill to justice. It's graphic, horrifying, and perfect at all the same time. That goes nicely with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to High Def Digest. I'm Bryan Kluger, and we'll be back with more videos very soon.